I don't do Twitch anymore myself,
Okay.
personally. It's a YouTube live stream.
Okay.
But the guild has a Twitch.
Oh, it does?
Yes, it does. Look for TLP Guild.
Is it often used?
It hasn't been. I have a stream team. So I can, if you want to be added to that, we can talk about that later.
Sure.
Yeah, no, you can represent the. Yeah, anybody that has those kinds of things, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or Kick or anything like that, I can put you guys on alerts and then add a reaction role that allows people to opt in to being alerted. So I could do that when you guys go online. There's also a special, for Twitch anyway, there is a special live stream tag that gets put on and put off when you go online, and you'll appear pretty special on the Discord area. So it's kind of nice, kind of nice, kind of nice.
Wait.
All right, let me see if I actually am live streaming. Oh, that's terrible. Hold on a second. It says February monthly meeting, even though I changed it on Restream. It sucks. Okay. Copy link address. I do think that's the link. I know the icon is not correct, but we will have to fix that later. Okay, I'm going to share my OBS. Devices, OBS virtual camera. You guys can follow along if you'd like. Okay, so we have a pretty pretty big vision about how we're going to be growing this guild into an actual sponsored / partnered eventually. A guild of which I used to have that before. So I want to get back to that, but nonetheless, I want to kind of restate that vision. Let me go over to the master spreadsheet. Now, I know I have made this a private spreadsheet, guys, for a little while here because I'm going to be moving the teams to have their own dashboards and stuff like that for themselves. So that's getting moved so that the general picture, this would be accessed in that way, where we could see like everything going on with the mythic teams once we get there in that regard. So I will reopen the spreadsheet, master spreadsheet, so that you can look at anything you may want to look in there. That should be fine. Raid recruitment, things that are general, like mythic signups, mythic plus teams that will be working that. I'm going to get Skullshine to help me with some of that. So putting those together, I think we arrived at one team that can actually kind of seems to be a good fit based on time availability and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to let you guys know that once I get all the teams kind of moved out of there, this is going to be reopened. The teams will remain private. However, there might be some elements that I can, as long as I connect these two, the sheets together, like the team sheet with the master sheet, I may be able to pull certain data from those sheets and those dashboards into the master. But until I can get that figured out, the team's worksheets are still, they're going to remain private. And so therefore, at that sense, like really honestly, the role of our admin officers are going to change. And Emmy, I'll talk to you about that so that you and I can get together on that. But it's going to change as the teams kind of have their own responsibilities and things of that nature. So they can, what the heck why are people highlighted to me? I don't understand. Can someone tell me? Anyways, in game. But nonetheless, that then this will become, public for people to view. As it stands right now, what I really, really want to cover as far as that is, I'm going to take this down to 50%. But what I really want everybody to understand is that I'm really trying to organize to expand our teams in a bit of a slower way than we have been in the recent past. We want to really make sure that we have the correct staff for these teams, and we are still sort of missing that. And one of the things that I can say, we've been kind of working where there's a West region set of teams and an East region set of teams, and that's working pretty good. I think at some point I probably will be looking for a co-GM for the East Coast, and we'll see who I can get to elevate into that. But we also are going to be looking for a competitive Mythic Plus coordination and all of that good stuff so that we can get some static groups together. And that would be on a schedule. And in some instances, what's going to happen with that in the Discord is they'll probably get some private voice chats, text chats, etc. in our Discord for those specific teams, and those teams can get managed. Now, it's a bit of a grind to try to get into like something like the Mythic Dungeon Invitationals, right? Or now they're internationals. And trying to get to that is a little bit of a grind. And it's going to be probably a team that we form that doesn't necessarily raid at a high level. And I'll tell you why. Because there's going to be a lot of time sink in trying to get the speed down for a Mythic Plus dungeon. And so that has its own grind. And unless you are full-time being paid by me, that's hardly possible. And we're not there yet, right? So that means that you typically, if we see our MDI teams, they're typically, in the past, they have been solely dedicated to Mythic Plus, basically. I want to start doing some of the PvP stuff as well. So I'll eventually need another PvP co-GM. I had one and he was very high ranked and he played on several different characters, but you couldn't ask him to PvE for shit. Okay. I'm just going to let you know about that. People that are really dedicated into arena teams and competitive, RBGs and things like that. They usually don't cross a lot of paths with PvEers. Even though we do have some PvEers that can cross into PvP, the same is not true backwards in reverse, okay? But that is also something that we're looking to try to do. One of the things that I really want to try to do is establish a RBG night where and I'll call it a training. It'll be like a training team where we go up against the AI, which some of you might have experienced if you've grinded out some of those quests that are needed. And so it's kind of fun. And I think it would be really fun for us to do that as a guild. So that's like what I really want to try to establish in season 1. But the PvP side is very long term. You know, I would first need to have the right people to be, you know, a senior officer for PvP, you know, administration, recruitment, community for PvP, because that community is shit. I gotta tell you, it's like you're really dealing with a lot of gross things. You know, want to be able to pull that together. That's going to take some time. So for now, my goal in season 1 for PvP is for us to go against the AI and train a little bit on battlegrounds and have some fun together. So I am going to be looking for someone that could lead those efforts. So if that is something that you are interested in doing, please let me know. Send me a PM or put in a ticket. For suggestions and feedback. Put that in there and let me know if you are interested in helping us lead some PvP fun for now. It's fun for now. It'll get competitive later. I think for my season 1 goals is to try to build some static groups for the competitive M+ area. Is try to build some competitive groups that kind of hit those higher keys, get that first, and then see who is really dedicated to that to push harder by lowering your completion time, right? Because that's what it takes to get into those things. So that's kind of like my goal for season 1 is trying to get some competitive teams that want to grind out the higher keys and also, you know, get support around that. It's easier for me to get that than it is to get support around the raid teams first, okay? All right, so in this area, you know, we have our 5 teams. Well, we have our 4 teams here on the West region, but on the East region right now, we have 2. We have the Heroic and the Heroic plus Mythic. One of the things that is going to be our focus for season 2 is going to be building, and I'll pull this back out to 100, building the Mythic Hall of Fame push team, which is competitive. That is the competitive side of raiding, right? So that's something that we're looking to do. And then maybe what I had envisioned, and Quick can tell you that, is building a true Mythic prog for the East Coast, kind of towards the end of this expansion, season 3. That's what I was eyeing. If we can get people that, you know, can play at that level earlier, they still have to, you know, kind of hang in there with us in the Heroic plus Mythic team. And once we get to this Mythic prog area, you know, we first have to acquire the staff that's willing to do that, that has the skill to do that, and then work towards building that out. So I think this one's going to take me a little bit longer than I could do the Titans team in season 2. Okay, so I really am looking for people who want to be raid leaders, whether that is of any of the lower teams. Right now I have Demon helping me as secondary, so welcome Demon, thank you so much for your help. For the disciples, and also coming in hot on the other side is you know, I think Tip, we're thinking it was Tiploon coming in as secondary. Is that correct? Anybody from the East Coast side? I think that's been a discussion in the works to see if that's something that Tiploon might be interested in doing. So you know, hopefully with that. And back on this side, we also have Dot and Lo, who stepped into the primary raid lead of the Prophets team. Kaiden has moved into that secondary slot, and we are looking for someone within that raid that can serve as assistant raid leader if any one of them should have to take the night off for whatever reason, personal reasons, they're sick, they're going on vacation, whatever the case may be, that is the job of the assistant raid leader, is to be able to step into those shoes and fill those spots, and then also contribute slightly to the overall raid, such as marking attendance, getting your world markers, your object markers, your, things like that, helping in that sense, maybe invites, etc., etc. And you could do some of that for that raid. So anybody in profits that wants to help with that can let Kaiden or Dot know and see if they would be, if that spot is something that they would like you to help with. Okay. The normal's going to go on rotation. So what I mean by that is that Mez and I will probably coordinate and keep like statistics and things like that together for this team. But basically, it's going to rotate through all our guild leaders on the West region. So all of our leaders will get put into a hat. They'll be shook up, and then they'll be tag, you're it. And the reason for that is because I really want the exposure from all our raid leads to the people that are coming up, so that they see that those are the raid leaders of certain teams, and they can ask questions to them, and they start becoming, like just knowing them. As we get bigger, things like that are kind of important, right? So I want that to kind of happen as well. Okay. And I also, of course, that is something that is going to happen once we build out the Tempters on the East Coast as well. It'll also go into rotation. Okay. But so far, I think the Heretics are doing really great. Fantastic work there by Major. I think, Saba hasn't been here for a bit, but I think Gad, Major, and Quick, and Quick is back. Quick. Okay. And Quick is back. So welcome back, Quick. Welcome back, Skull. Have done a good job of keeping the Deacons in line, mostly, and keeping them going and making sure that we step into Mythic on that team, which we did. They have one boss down and are working their way through the second, which is Vora. Overall, I mean, this is the big vision that I have for us, and building that out, and having sponsors and building that out again, partnerships as well. The difference between sponsors and partnerships is partnerships are an investment. Sponsors are, providing us with certain products and things like that we get to promote, and also be able to sponsor direct people, team members within our guild if they have a platform that benefits them. Okay? Such as Twitch or YouTube or et cetera, Instagram, whatever. They want it all. In the administration side of the house, of course, this is the part where I think, and I've kind of let Mez know about this a little bit, is where I think he would be most helpful for us, is to help me with that side, because it's a lot. And especially when we're looking to grow this far, this big. So being able to, this doesn't look like it belongs there. Hello. Okay. Being able to have, branding, being able to have gear. So we'll have sweatshirts. We had all of that before. We had t-shirts, all of that before. I can show you what some of that stuff looks like. It was really cool. We actually had an artist come in and make specialized artwork for our t-shirts based on characters who were our main raid leaders, which was really cool. We had a demon back. We also had a demon back in the day, but we had a demon, and Demon had his own t-shirt, and Afrel had her own t-shirt, and so it was really cool to be able to support the guild in that way, and also support your raid leaders, right? So all of that is stuff that we're looking to kind of have come back. We had our esports jerseys that we would wear when we go to BlizzCon and TwitchCon and all of that stuff, all the cons, right? So we want to be able to do that as well. So all of that is going to take some coordination, as part of the recruitment area. Solaria is and I'll pull this back to Big. Solaria is going to be taking that when she comes back from vacation. I'm kind of filling in for her as much as I can. But Kit and Gail have been doing a wonderful job at getting us some people to look at, right? And getting folks to be part of the guild. This is a great community, and we definitely want to be able to have the folks that enjoy that kind of community here. On that note, I would like to see people from the East Coast that could potentially serve as recruitment officers for the East region, which includes all EST and CST folks. And that would be very helpful for me. People that can actually talk to people, have a great time, no problems talking to people, and, you know, can chat via either by DMs or in voice, doesn't matter. There's there's or in there. So that's always good. And then the other thing that I'm going to be looking at too is having maybe some assistance eventually coming in to help our officers, our recruitment officers. On this side, I need some branding and marketing. That's going to be like the shop that we have. We had a TLP shop at some point. We're trying to bring that back. So that's going to help us with that. And then, you know, our websites and things like that and social media. So helping with all of that is going to be also that. So it's really, you know, how big guilds work and how, you know, some of the top end guilds work. They have a lot of staff that help them. And we are slowly building to that. Not quite yet, but we are slowly building to that. So, okay. That's what I have. Do anyone have any questions for that piece of it before I jump into the rest? Anyone? Yes. Okay. I just got to tell. All right. So that's kind of the whole overview of that. I'm moving on to aligning to the minimum requirements for the team. Every member of the raids that has planned to go into Mythic, I'm actually going to pull this over here, that has planned to go into a Mythic tier rating. So that means our Heroic Plus team, as well as our, you know, Mythic teams, obviously. You are required to adhere to the minimum requirements set forth at the beginning of the season. That means that for all Mythic Prog and Mythic CE teams, it requires you to have all 3 of your myth slots locked into your Great Vaults. That's at item level 272, which is one of 6 myths. Every week, you are required to have your gems and your enchants on all viable slots. Yes, that does include stats like avoidance and leech and speed, etc. And will be required to have 2 viable characters for the Olympians. And that's going to also eventually be the same situation for Infernals, which will be the Mythic Prog team for the East region. So in doing that, I lost my place, sorry. Yeah, and the viable character, and possibly even more than 2 for Titans, and the equivalent of that on the East Coast, which is Fallen. So for the rest of the season, Prophets will, and you know what, I'm actually going to leave that to Dot and to Kaiden. Did you guys decide, because I didn't see any replies from Dot around this topic, and I don't even know if they're here, because I'm not looking. Remember, you guys aren't pushed to talk, unless you're a raid leader and above.
I'm here. Yeah, okay. Dot's also here, but he's muted.
Okay.
Hey, I just didn't leave a comment in the leadership channel. I posted to Prophets, but this is about the vault slot.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're staying at Hero. We would like for it to be higher next season. Okay. It will be 10 plus.
Okay, so this season for the Prophets, you will require to have at least 268. I think that's the hero level, or 269. I'm not sure which one it is, but at hero level, for all 3 slots. So that means I think M7s. Is that correct? At least M7s.
For
7 or 8. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, on our related note, our eye level requirement is 270. So even if you get 260 something, you're going to need to upgrade it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. And so that is where the prophets are going to stand. I do believe that the deacons are a little tiny bit different, which they are, and correct me if I'm wrong, quick, but they are going to be basically saying 10s, correct?
Sorry, what? I caught the first end of what you said there.
For the Great Vault slots is going to be M10s.
All tens.
Yeah.
All tens. Yep.
Yeah. So that's and it's not different from where we started. We were supposed to have all of our deacons members get that after the 4th week. So that was something that was already in place. So anybody that's been added to deacons past that may not know of that, but really it is, you are going to be required to do your 10s. And there's a lot of people in here that do a lot of Mythic Plus. We just are constantly doing Mythic Plus. So it shouldn't be a big deal for you guys to kind of like group up and help your buddies and get everybody's 10s together, because you need, unfortunately, you need myth gear in order to kill mythic bosses. I've always said that. That is like a thing of mine. It is very true. So, okay. And then, of course, for all of our Mythic Prog teams, well, just the one that we have now, I want everybody to know that that is required of you to have your 3 slots, M10s, locked in, and you're going to have to get them locked in on Monday nights before 11 p.m. The reason for that, and that's 11 p.m. Pacific, the reason for that is that that's when, I believe, according to Fel, that's probably where the information resets for us, and we are not going to be able to tell after that time. So it resets at midnight, and I need it before then so that I can update all of the stats and everything. So I really appreciate that some of you might be doing it at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., but then we don't get that information. And to us, it looks like you're missing your 3rd vault. Okay. So I really do need you guys to keep it in mind. Put an alarm. It doesn't matter to me. Put an alarm and make it 11 p.m. Pacific time. Okay. All right. The cross-team rules. Okay, so I'm going to be restating the cross-team rules because I want to make sure that we're all in alignment. So at the beginning of the season, we really thought we would be asking folks to commit to one team and one team only, but a few of you had some issues with that. And I could totally understand, where that may be for some folks that like raiding more than anything else, and they want to be able to raid on multiple characters. And hey, that is your given right, right? But one of the things that I am going to restate is that we did change that to allow for one designated character to be played in another team. Okay, that was I don't know if Koff's here. Maybe he's not. Is he not here? No. Okay. But that was the arrangement. Azalis, are you here? Okay, maybe not. But that was the arrangement that we said that you would be able to designate a single character for your other team that your primary team is not going to ask you to bring into that raid. So what that means, however, though, is that if you wanted to play on 2 different teams, hold on. Someone's sending. Oh, you're here? Oh, at the gym. Got it. Thank you. So that if you wanted to play on two different on the Prophets team, or on the Olympians team, or on the Deacons team, and on the Heretics team, guess what? You have to abide by the requirements of both teams, period. So that if both teams are going to require you to do M10s, you're going to have to do that on two characters. Some of you, especially those of you that have multiple characters like that, can easily do that. So that's, totally great for them. They can do that. But if you really cannot do that, and you find it that you're having trouble being part of two teams, and in that sense, one is lagging behind the other, I mean, I would suggest that you kind of rethink that and commit to a team. But again, that means that, you have to get the Mythic Plus requirements in. You have to get the alt requirements in. So if you have a character for Prophets, and if you have a character in the Olympians is going to require you to have two. And those two characters cannot be the one that you've designated for Prophets. Okay? So I'd like to see that kind of be worked up a bit. I know for some of you that's actually quite easy. It's not terrible. Again, you do have to get all of your Mythic Vault slots by 11 p.m. on Monday, PST. And then if I have somebody on the EST, if I get an admin on the EST, that'd be great. But until then, we'll see. Okay, so now I'm looking to restate how loot works in this guild, specifically loot around RC Loot Council. Okay, whenever we're using RC Loot Council, okay, that means our Heroic plus Mythic teams and our Mythic Prog team, they use RC Loot Council with the WoW Audit plugin. At some point in the near future, I think I've paid up till June for WoW Audit. At some point in the future, we will probably be switching from WoW Audit to Guilds of WoW. Once I know that Guilds of WoW has been tested and we've piloted and done all the good things with it, which is one of the reasons I'm going to be asking my team, Disciples, to use it for them. We're not going to go to Loot Council for Disciples, but to use the provided, and I'll show you what that looks like, the provided new features of Guilds of WoW. So if you go to Guilds of WoW, that new feature is here. And it kind of functions the same as WoW Audit in the sense that you can, post your raid bots in here and import it, and it's going to bring up everything that, is a good upgrade for you. You are able to decide whether something is your BIS. So like, for example, my gaze is the BIS for Shadow Priest. The stare is the BIS for Shadow Priest. I'm able to designate that. So you have some availability to kind of set things that you want as based on priority, or even if you want something for transmog or for your off spec, right? So really good in that sense. And then from the management side of the house, if I click on roster, I am now able to kind of differentiate, and I could say, all right, for my Disciples team, I just want to look at everybody's mains, right? And I can kind of look through and see everything that is needed for a particular character. I am working with this development team, okay? And I'm working with them to give us some more additional options. I managed to get this here done. And so this is now a great filter for that. But I also want to be able to export things, and we're working on doing that as well. So until this gets to a point where I feel like we can drop WoW Audit and Koff and Mez and I make that decision, we will still continue to use WoW Audit for most of our teams. But what happens is once you get the WoW, it's the Guilds of WoW application, and you download this application, this one here, you can see your stuff in here as well. But once you have this, you also get a add-on, that will plug into RC Loot Council as well. So that's pretty neat in that sense. Okay. All right. So for disciples, we're gonna get you guys to do that import. So you'll do on the personal tabs. I don't know if you can see the rostered ones. I'm not sure. But in here, you'll run your sims. So DPS and tanks will use raid bots and run those sims, and healers will use QE Live and run those sims here for our healers. And then you will just put that right into this area here. Click import. And it'll give you anything. And then you can go through all of the upgradable items based on whatever tier, whether that's mythic or heroic or whatever, right? And go through and using the 3 dots to have more options, kind of decide if you'd like that for transmog, maybe for an off spec, et cetera, and then you'd click save. So like, for example, if I say, I kind of want this for transmog, right? You'll click save. And it'll tell you right here it's a transmog option. And then what happens in the game, when you get a role, there's a little pop-up that comes up and kind of reminds you, hey, this is one of your items that you chose for this particular purpose. So it's pretty neat that way. And I definitely want to kind of pilot that with my disciples. And then let you guys know how that works for us. Okay? And bring back any ideas or anything like that. And bring that back to the folks at Guilds of WoW, the development team there. Okay? All right. And so what I want to make sure that we understand about loot, specifically when it comes to this kind of stuff, is that we will be granting loot based on raid attendance, Great Vault requirements being met, your gems and your enchants being kept up to date. Now, if you forget 1 week, I'm not going to count that against you. But I better see that get fixed next week, right? And the role that you have, whether you're DPS, tank, heals, right? And then finally, the percentage upgrade with that raid leader's final discretion being what really decides that. That's always kind of been that way. If you are not meeting the requirements of attendance, if you're not meeting the requirements of your M+ vaults, right? If you're not meeting those requirements, you're not getting your gems and enchants done, et cetera, you might be deprioritized for loot, especially in our higher end teams. And so you don't want that. So you want to make sure you get your requirements in. And I realize that sometimes there are things that are wanted across various different specs and various different roles. Like gaze, for example. Let's take that trinket. That trinket is probably BIS for a lot of different DPS. If something like that drops, we're probably going to prioritize DPS before we prioritize a tank for that. So that is something that we're also looking at as far as roles, discrepancy between roles. So when a tank has, hey, this is an upgrade for me for 10%, right? But a DPS, this is an upgrade for me for 7%. We may choose to give that trinket to the 7% because it's far better for the overall DPS of the team to take down the bosses that we want to take down, if that makes sense. Okay? So, like I said, you need meth gear to kill mythic bosses, so get those M pluses in. Okay. Raid team communications. I'm going to set the expectation here, and I want to be very, very clear. From now on, every raid team will have their raid plans and counter orders, information, whether that's videos, guides, etc., posted in their team, quote unquote, team dash notices dash polls channels the day before a raid day. Okay? If teams have set a bench roster rotation, for example, Olympians is currently doing that, they have to include that as well. And swaps can happen between boss kills. Okay? In the same raid day. We will be doing that. Okay? Specifically for bench rotation. So that's what you guys will have to expect from raid leaders. All raid leaders all of you guys, please, please, please make sure if your raid is on a Tuesday, then you're posting that on Monday. If your raid is on a Wednesday, you're posting that on Tuesday. Okay? That is very, very important. At the end of each raid week, raid leaders will provide feedback where needed. If you are doing the best job you can, you're probably going to hear nothing from us, okay? But if there are things that need to be improved, those will get to you in your character's private threads. I'm going to be moving all of those private threads to a new category on our Discord for that. And those private threads will remain there for the duration of your guild membership. Okay? Now, if we provide feedback for you and you don't quite understand something, you need to reach out to your raid leaders, any of them. Does not have to be the primary or the secondary or the tertiary. Any of them can provide you reasoning behind that feedback or help you to, hone in on exactly what you need to improve, okay? It is on you to accept that feedback, okay? And then you will be expected to show improvement week to week based on that feedback, okay? So raid leaders will engage with you in those threads. The senior officers, the co-GMs and GMs will also be privy to those threads, but only for visibility, okay? Especially if you're asking questions about the guild systems or, et cetera, we might be able to provide some answers to that in your threads. But generally, it is you and your raid leaders. Okay? All right. That's what I have. Any questions around any of those topics? I now will switch this channel to open mic. And let me do that now. And go ahead and ask any questions that you have. TLP. Voice activity. There we go. Save. Okay, there we go. Any questions, guys?
Thank you for being really direct and awesome with this meeting. Otherwise, no question from me.
Thank you. I try to be. I really do use these monthly to really communicate as best as I can. All right. Any other questions from anybody? Any questions from our raid leaders or above?
I just want to touch base real quick on something that was said. Just for clarification's sake. You will hear from me after a raid speaking directly to deacons. Whether or not you did good. You will probably hear from me more if you did good specifically, especially if I know that you have it in you to do much better. So I just don't want people thinking that I'm reaching out to them because they necessarily are underperforming more. That I've had conversations with people who are performing well enough, but who could perform better. So it is not just to say that only the people being reached out to are quote unquote in need of said reaching.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that clarification. That's why I said where needed, where the raid leader. I'll make sure to say that it's at raid leader discretion. But if there are improvements that need to be made, I do require our raid leaders to use the threads in this Discord to do so. I want to reduce the amount of DMs, right, where necessary. So that's where those channels are coming in. And so in the recent, maybe around this week, I will be creating those channels underneath where they're supposed to go and closing out the other channels that exist today.
I've found a lot of the times the best thing that I can do specifically is, I'm typically down to sit down with WoW Analyzer or sit down with multiple logs and really go over kind of the fine aspects of what it is that's weighing any individual person down. So that is typically something I do in voice, but yes, also providing the feedback in trial channels and the like.
Yeah. And the reason I say that also is because we do have our sheets, right, where we have the ability to provide, we have our internal sheets are going to have all of this type of situation that we have here. And I really want this to be the record, and then you can speak to this as you speak to someone. But I do need those improvement actions written down somewhere. Okay. So that I know, hey, this person was supposed to do this, or the senior, well, in this case, it's you, but you will require your raid leaders to do that, right? So your raid leaders are going to have their own sheet like this. They're going to have attendance records. They're going to have improvement. And you, as their senior officer, are going to be reviewing and making sure that these things are being done. That goes for Scully, too. Skull. Goes for you. All right. Any other questions, comments, suggestions, ideas? This is an open floor for you guys. Nothing. Okay. I would imagine it would have been more, but yes. So I think also I will be. Let me ask. Any of our officers have anything that they want to chime in on? Myletha, I can't believe you're muted. Gad?
I just had a
No, I'm
thought.
Okay, go ahead.
That's scary.
Had a thought. Okay.
You were talking about M plus teams and the goal of creating like static ideals and goals for each of them. A suggestion from me from a previous guild that had something like this is a group that's goal is 2,000, a group that's goal is 3, and a group that's goal is the mythic level of holy crap, the achievements and stuff. Obviously, that's kind of a given, but I figured that'd be a good place to start.
Yep. And then when I am ready to open up the spreadsheets back again, what you'll see is I have that here. So there's going to be some requirements for each team, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll be able to see this. Nobody else but the team captains will be able to edit their sections. So each of these sections will be provided to the team captains for them to be able to edit. But you can do things like, for example, hold tryouts. You can have a day where you hold tryouts specifically for the higher end teams. That may be something. So if you see an open spot, you can say, hey, I'd like to be able to try out for that. And so you can set a day, specific day that you might want to have trials. But all of those goals are through the team captain, right? And then the team captain can write those. What are the requirements? You got to have 3,200. You got to have 2,500, whatever it may be here, that's, and key levels also. Like, what is your top end? You could say, this one's just clearing 10s every week. Fine. If this one over here is clearing, 15s and getting 15 resills, you write that there. So yes, definitely have the ability to write those goals for yourselves as a team. Here is the sign up, guys. This form is actually in the M Plus chat channel at the very, very, very top. So if you can see it here, right here, here's the M Plus channel. At the very, very top, there is the form to sign up for those static teams. Okay? And we will put that together and we will, kind of introduce you guys. And mind you, we are not going to be forcing people to team up together. If that's, also the team captain is really going to be kind of helping us to put their teams together. We're here to help them put a team together and not necessarily to force people that want a static team. But there are a lot of folks that want a static team. Now, I ask that you are kind of realistic about what you can do. 18 and up, those kinds of keys are really difficult. Okay? And unless you have the correct score, that's going to be pretty difficult for you to do. Okay? So if I ask that you are very cognizant of the keys and the key levels that you put in here. Okay? And then we're going to get that started, and I'll get Scully to help me with that. Quick, if you can help me with that too, that'd be great for any of the East region teams that come up. That'd be great. Okay.
Sorry, how do we sign up for these?
There is in the Discord. If you go to, sorry, there's a lot of people in here. If you go to the M Plus chat right here, the M Plus chat where everybody's always at M Plus. Okay.
Yep.
This one, all the way at the top, pinned to the very, 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 very top. There's a form. You click on that form, it takes you here. Does everybody see that? Yes. Okay. All right. A note that I want to make, recently we instituted the ability to create temporary channels with the join to create areas of our voice in the public activities section. One of the things that I want to say is while we have a hangout, we have a lobby, looking for group for PvP as well. While we have those, what I'm seeing is if people certainly create these, and then we're having like a bunch of people in them, right? And sometimes that does get overwhelming. If it is getting overwhelming for you, you can ask your group, if you're in a group in one of those channels that has 15 people in it, ask your group to move down and into your created channel and kind of start to do that. Now, once you create your personal channels, you are able to edit them, okay? And you are able to, take the user limit to a certain number that you are comfortable with. Some people will say, okay, I'll allow like 6 or 7 or 8 users, right? And then that way you can kind of monitor that, as well as you can change the name if you want. That's cool. But you can also limit the amount of people that can go in your channel. The reason I say that is because there are some people who are trying to do hierarchies in this instance, and they need to like lock in, and sometimes there's a lot of chatter around them. So I want to make sure that you guys understand that we really need to kind of be respectful of what's going on, specifically in the M Plus and PvP channels. Like those channels, be cautious about dropping into there and starting chit chat about the weather, okay? Because they might be in the middle of a very difficult poll, very difficult key, whatever the case may be. So be mindful of that. The Hangouts, sure, they're unlimited, so you can have as many people just sitting and hanging out. Now, the other thing is, if you're in the Hangout and you start an M Plus group, you should make a separate channel. Click on the join to create M Plus and click on that and go and drop everybody into that channel so that someone else's Hangout or that Hangout is not getting super full. So please try to be mindful of that, okay? Use the join to create channels as much as you can. All right. The other thing that we're looking at, there's been some feedback submitted about creating specific like rankings for M Plus, because some of the folks that are doing like 18, 17, 18s, 19s, they want to be able to have people that are somewhat similar to their Raider IO level. I don't want anyone to get the impression that that's, kind of like an exclusive club, if you will. But we're working through how we can architect something like that to help everybody. Until then, I would suggest you guys just make your join to create voice channel and then just limit, okay? Limit the actual users, okay? Until we get that. So if you're going to be running keys and you want to be able to run them with people that have timed certain keys, etc., do that instead of until we can get a better, more architected system around that. Okay. Any questions? How have you guys? What is the feedback generally around the join to create channels? Is that working out great for you guys?
I think it's been a success. I think people really enjoy it. It allows a lot of, it's fun. It allows people to make VCs. We don't have to worry if there's too many or too little. I will say that I think it makes like the ones above it, like the
With LFGs
The-
ones, like yeah.
yeah, those are kind of obsolete now. I guess would be my only
Okay.
thing.
Agreed. I
But I
used to
mean,
hang out there before those other ones existed.
yes, like
Yeah.
now that you can make your own, there's no real point in joining those.
Okay.
But I mean,
Well, some
I
people
think
just
it's
like
been
to
very successful
like
so
to
far.
hang out and just do whatever. I get that. I would say that we could probably delete. Does anybody object to deleting the LFG channels?
No, I think despite and in stark contrast to what Nyletta said, I completely agree.
In stark contrast to Nylitha.
Mhm.
I don't know
Yep,
what that means.
I agree with him. I agree with Nyletta in stark contrast to Nyletta. I don't know how I can be more clear.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah, I don't know what the
I
I don't know what
those
that.
guys talk about.
I don't know what that means. It's a simple yes or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Maybe.
but not what Nyletta said.
Good idea. Let's do it.
Oh,
Okay, so I
Because
can
I didn't join
delete.
them.
So let me delete the PvP one. Okay, the PvP lobby. I'll delete the M plus lobby. However, I still want to keep the hangout. The chill room is exclusively to me and officers. Sometimes the reason why I have my own room. Let me tell you why. Well, it's not just secrets, but it's also because I like to do my medical treatments while I listen to music from Discord. And so a lot of my medical treatments are heavy machine based things. And so I like to sit in there and do that. So that's why I have my own. Okay, cool. That's done. Nyletta, done on the fly. There you go.
awesome.
Any other questions or suggestions or anything like that? How are you guys generally feeling about the guild? If you have anything that you don't want to say here where there's so many people, we have
Fortress.
ticket. Put in a ticket. Yes, absolutely. Ticket system, which is down here, the guild ticket system. You can give us some suggestions and feedback by clicking on the suggestion and feedback. Thanks, CoughBot. So you could do that if you don't want to say it in this loud, boisterous room. All right.
Kind of new here. Been enjoying it so far.
Okay.
Really good job. I think something that might be fun to do at some point would be a beer and pretzels raid once we're far enough into the season, which is basically show up and we will legitimately floor a normal / heroic for fun while we all talk and have a good time.
Well, we do that on Sundays.
I don't know what that is.
It's beer and bullshit. So we do that. I have the I have the acolytes kind of open to do that every Sunday at 8 p.m. So if you come on Sundays, if you come to that, and that's 8 p.m. Pacific, sorry, East Coast, we do a lot of that during our normal runs.
Deal. I'll be there next week.
Awesome. Bring the booze. Don't forget the tokes. We expect you to be very high, very drunk.
We'll be coming off of that Deacon's high.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Oh, Cough is here. Look at him go. Hi, Cough.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Do you have anything you
Cough,
need
you
to
got me.
add?
Words of wisdom, Cough. Come on.
No, I joined late. I was dealing with
Wow.
something.
It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay.
Inspirational as always.
Right?
Yeah.
Fucking beat it.
You know what the kids need, right? Cough. They just need that slap on the bum. Great job out there.
Yeah. If you haven't heard from me, great job.
In direct contrast to Quicken, who says, "You will all hear from me, regardless."
In stark contrast, correct?
That's right, in stark contrast. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody. Please help us to make our great guild be the greatest ever. We great again. Don't even say it. Don't even say it. Stop. Not allowed. Not allowed. Not allowed. Put in a ticket. Okay. How dare you? But yes, so we want to, help us in that. We have some open, as you saw, guys, in the, let me move this over. Hold on. In the org chart, we have a lot of things that are open. Specifically recruitment officers. I really would like to have some recruitment officers for the East region, for East recruitment. That would be fantastic. And also, just some community officers, raid administration officers, all of those people that help us do all these great things. If you have any experience with that, in being an officer in a guild, and you would like to help us, that would be great. We're not forcing anybody, unless you're Skullshine. You're being forced under duress. But you're more than happy to reach out to me, and I will kind of help to see if that would be a good fit for you. Okay. Awesome. I love it. All right, guys. Slaps on the butt. Have a great game out there.
Go do your night.
Fuck out of here, you fucking disgust me.
Go bounce on it now.
We're gonna go bounce on it. That's right. That's right.
On my new gaming chair.
Oh, we're cooking
yes.
with gas now.
That's what I meant too.
You're gonna bounce on it. I'm pretty sure you and I are talking about two different things. All right, buddy.
What's that mean?